The bang wasn't small. It shook my bird feeder, knocked my solar gnome sideways, and sent my cat tearing under the grill like it owed him rent. My first thought was that a transformer had blown, or maybe one of the kids nearby got their hands on an M82. But when I stepped outside and followed the acrid scent of scorched plastic, I found the real issue. An orange extension cord, half melted and looking like a dollar store spaghetti noodle, snaked over my fence. It was still plugged into my backyard outlet. And that was the moment I realized Maddie hadn't just stolen electricity, she declared war. You don't pull something like that on accident. Not when the cord runs from her side of the fence into my outlet, coiled like a rattlesnake waiting to bite. No, this was premeditated theft, sabotage by wattage. And I was about to make her wish she'd invested in candles. This wasn't the first time Maddie had pulled something shady. Last Christmas, she plugged her whole light show 30,000 bulbs and enough inflatables to be visible from space into my exterior outlet. Just for the night, she said. That night turned into 3 weeks, 3 blown fuses, and 1 fruitcake that might have contained bits of her fractured moral compass. I let it go then. Holiday stress, I figured. Maybe she didn't know better. But now? Now she'd escalated from tacky holiday theft to full-on backyard burglary, and my electric bill was up nearly $200. The thing about living next to Maddie is that your house stops feeling like a home and starts feeling like a crime scene waiting to happen. She's the kind of person who names her houseplants, spray paints warning lines on shared sidewalks, and quotes HOA bylaws like she personally authored them. Which, in a way, she did because she's on the board. Of course she is. No one actually remembers voting her in. She just showed up there. Like mold. Or termites. So when my smart garden lights flickered and my sprinkler system rebooted for the 3rd time in a week, I grabbed my flashlight and voltage detector and patrolled the fence line like some kind of suburban ghostbuster. And there it was. That same cord. Cheap. Frayed. Looping over the fence and plugged into the side of my house. On the other end, Maddie's pool shed glowing like a slot machine in Vegas. I nearly laughed. The woman was running her whole backyard rave off my power. Naturally, I unplugged it. I didn't make a scene, I just coiled the cord neatly and draped it over the fence like a passive-aggressive peace offering. 10 minutes later, Maddie was at my door. She didn't knock. Just pounded on the frame like she was the FBI holding a warrant made out of expired wine coupons. I saw what you did, she shouted, not even pretending to be subtle. You mean unplugging my own outlet? I asked. It's not just yours. It's on the fence line. That's community property. I blinked. Maddie, that outlet is literally mounted on my brick wall. The same one your husband dented last summer backing into it and blamed it on the moonlight. She huffed. It's just electricity. It's not like you're using it. That was when I realized Maddie either had the world's worst understanding of utility ownership or was actively trolling me. Either way, I wasn't about to argue with someone who once tried to report my mailbox for being too whimsical. So I closed the door and did what any reasonable adult with a vendetta would do. I went to my workshop. What Maddie didn't know is that I design power monitoring systems for a living. I eat voltage logs for breakfast and troubleshoot surges in my sleep. If she wanted a battle of circuits, she picked the wrong neighbor. I reviewed the data. Sure enough, every afternoon around 3 p.m., the draw spiked. Same time her inflatable unicorn fountain kicked on. And at 2 a.m., another surge. What in the world did she need that much juice for in the middle of the night? A meth lab? A bootleg tanning salon? Just to be sure, I set up cameras. Within 2 days, I had footage of her teenage son dragging the cord over the fence like it was his part-time job. He even gave the camera a salute. That salute told me everything. This wasn't carelessness. This was family policy. I brought the footage to the HOA. Their response? Well, technically she's not modifying your property, so it's a gray area. A gray area. Like power theft was just creative borrowing. Fine. If unplugging the cord hadn't made an impression, it was time to give Maddie all the power she could ever want and then some. I designed a system. I called it the breaker bomb. Not an actual bomb, obviously. Just a perfectly legal deterrent system that triggered when it detected unauthorized current, a 120 dB siren, strobe lights, and a glitter cannon. I even added a confetti spray for flair. The device was connected to my phone, and when tested, it scared 3 squirrels out of a tree and made a jogger eat pavement. but I wasn't ready to deploy it just yet. First, I needed her to think she'd won. So I removed my lockbox from the outlet and left it wide open. Mowed the lawn near the fence. Coiled her cord neatly beside it like an offering of suburban peace. That evening I saw her smirk. By sunrise, the cord was back. Perfect. She wanted power. I was about to light her up like a Christmas tree on rocket fuel. At 2:41 p.m. The next day, my phone pinged. Unauthorized draw detected. System active. I bolted for the yard. The alarm shrieked like a banshee with a megaphone. The strobe lights bounced off her shed like a rave at a lighthouse. And then boom, confetti and glitter shot 20 feet in the air. Maddie, reclined with a mimosa, shrieked like the glitter was molten lava. Her husband tripped into the unicorn float, which deflated under him like a dying whale. Neighbors peeked out, phones out. One kid yelled, "Yo! Backyard rave?" Maddie stormed to the fence, robe flapping, glitter on her forehead like a shame tattoo. "What the hell did you just do?" I sipped my coffee. That, Maddie, was the sound of justice. You could have killed someone. It's glitter and a speaker, not a claymore. Before she could scream again, 2 officers walked around the side yard. One of the neighbors had called in a noise complaint. I calmly explained everything. Footage, logs, device plans. Maddie tried to interrupt, but the lead officer cut her off. "Ma'am, that's still theft." Her jaw flapped like a broken ventriloquist dummy. "And ma'am," the officer added, "you've got a sound system here well over legal limits." "But it wasn't mine," she cried. "It was his." They looked at me. I shrugged. "Mine shuts off in 30 seconds. Hers doesn't." 15 minutes later, Maddie had a noise violation, a warning for tampering with private property, and a gentle suggestion to invest in her own generator. "You could have just talked to me," she whined. "I did," I said. 3 months ago. Remember? You said it was just for one night." She stomped off, dragging her glitter-covered cord behind her like a remorse noodle. For 2 full days, the fence remained quiet. No cords. No hum. No disco shadows. But Maddie didn't give up. She was molded in human form, annoying, persistent, and planning her comeback. So I built Breaker Bomb 2.0. Same core concept: detect unauthorized current and respond, but this one had layers. Noise limiter, cloud alert system, motion-activated camera feed, even a recorded message in my own voice. This outlet is monitored. Unauthorized access will be reported. Step away. Saturday morning. Cord coiled neatly. Trap set. Maddie approached the outlet like a victorious general. Plugged in the cord. Her speakers kicked on. 10 seconds later, this outlet is monitored. She froze. Camera word. Light blinked red. She yanked the cord out like it had bitten her and shouted something colorful at the fence. Minutes later, she returned with her husband, flashlight in hand. "This is harassment." "By protecting my own outlet?" I replied. "It's on a shared wall." "No, the fence is shared. The outlet is on my brick. And I've got footage, voltage logs, and your signature on last year's HOA agreement that says exterior outlets are homeowner property." She gritted her teeth. "We'll see what a judge says." "Please do. I've got 8 camera angles and popcorn ready." Later that night, I caught her sneaking around the side of my house with a flashlight and a garden stake wrapped in duct tape. She was trying to dig up my underground conduit. It was armored, buried 2 feet down, sealed tight. But still she tried. I sent the footage to the HOA, the neighborhood patrol, and my lawyer. The next morning, I served her a cease and desist letter delivered by a guy in mirrored shades and a black windbreaker. Just for dramatic flair. For days, silence. Then the news broke, a viral Reddit thread titled, "Don't Mess with the Electric Guy." Karen, sorry, Maddie was a meme. The HOA finally snapped. At an emergency meeting, they aired every grievance. Unauthorized events. Power theft. Harassment. Even her social media posts mocking neighbors. And then they played the glitter bomb footage on a projector. The laughter was brutal. She was stripped of her board position, placed on probation, and warned, one more incident and she'd be fined or sued. The next day, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. But even then she tried one last petty act: a splitter taped under my fence. I left it there. A warning to her. A message from me. And then she was gone. Trucks packed her up. Neighbors peeked through blinds, and finally peace. The air felt lighter. My yard looked brighter. And that weekend, I threw a barbecue. Burgers, corn, music at a respectful volume. Everyone showed up. In the center of the yard sat the breaker bomb, now polished and mounted with a plaque. In loving memory of Maddie's electrical ambitions. May her circuits find peace elsewhere. People laughed. Took photos. It was no longer a weapon. It was art. And at last, peace in the suburbs wasn't just a dream. It was mine.